There's a question for me that I think is a really important one, which is how do we reconcile what's happening inside organizations with what's happening outside organizations? Inside companies, you have people putting notes over the water cooler. You have what used to be didn't you get the memo and is now didn't you get the email. Outside businesses, you have people living entirely off of mobile devices who aren't even carrying wallets anymore. So how is it that technology has, in some respects, skipped the organization?
We tweet now from our office. We kind of would have laughed if anyone suggested that. The fact that we are emailing, using mobile technology, on the call all the time. You know what's going on at any one time. You know where you are. You know who's saying what. You have an insight into history in the making in the way that we never had before.
Why is it that people and organizations are so reluctant to get into this stuff? And there are any number of answers to that, not least of which is organizations are inherently risk averse. My grandfather ran a business where he didn't want everybody having a telephone. He was afraid they'd spend all day talking to their mother. When we first had the internet, the idea was everybody would spend all day on the internet. Now we've got social media, we can't have Facebook, people will spend all their time on that. There are barriers like that, there are barriers about budget, there are barriers about social aspects, there are all sorts of them. And those are fundamental, and we need to get over those and be more comfortable about them before we're going to plunge on ahead.
When I was a journalist at the Daily Telegraph, the computer arrived on our desk, which they told me was the new internet. And myself and my colleague who shared this computer both looked at each other and said, we're never using that. There's no way we're going to be doing any of this email rubbish. Within a year, that's all we were doing was the email rubbish.
We've gone from a period where we were using index cards in the library to look things up and then go and physically do them, to a period now where you never have more than a 5-second delay before you can get any kind of information you want. They say now that we are exposed to more information in a single issue of the New York Times than the average man 100 years ago received in his entire lifetime.
When Wikipedia first came out, and there was a huge amount of debate about how authoritative it was. But they say they've proved now that it's as good as, if not better than, Encyclopedia Britannica. Instead of one source of expertise, you've got several authoritative sources. The thing that I will stand by is that innovation is going to come not from the people who know, who've been doing it year in, year out, and are experts in the area, but someone who's coming in from outside and questioning why we do it like that.
You're seeing shifts in behaviour that we couldn't have imagined 15 years ago, a decade and a half ago even. At the end of the last century, we couldn't have imagined what we're seeing now with the way in which people are connected online. The shifts in how we regard who we know and who we count as a friend. So with the advent of Facebook and Twitter in particular, that has helped propel these changes that we're still experiencing. This is still ongoing.
5 years ago, we all laughed at the idea of Twitter and Facebook. It's playing a role in revolutions around the world, these tools. So I don't think anyone knows where we're going with internal communications. I think what we do know is that our employees will want more information than ever before, because they're used to more information than ever before. And how that you feed that demand, it's open to debate.
We've been on a continual journey over a number of years to try to make our intranet be the best it can be and support our business and support our employees. And I think we got to the point where the next logical step was for it to become more social. Social content, I guess, is the lifeblood of an organisation, and it's the lifeblood of an intranet. And without social content, an intranet is quite flat, it's one-dimensional, and actually you could say it's a dead space. It turns your intranet from being a kind of utilitarian distribution mechanism into a kind of a community where people have experiences and they can emotionally connect with that space, and that makes it much more powerful. It means that people are engaging with it and they want to be there and they want to contribute and they want to weave themselves into the fabric of your organisation.
Social media platforms within internal communications are fantastic, and they present enormous opportunities that we've never had before to again really engage in that notion of dialogue with employees. But if you're not really stepping back to think about what is the overall goal, then you're going to potentially invest a lot of money in something that nobody will use, potentially undermine internal communications because people will think, well, if we've got a blog and a Yammer, why do we need internal communicators?
Now you have a kind of direct conduit to whoever you want within the organisation. You can make yourself heard from the very bottom, not just back up the hierarchy, but across and outside. It just means that organisations have to be much looser and kind of just chill out a bit, really.
Platforms are just tools. They're delivery tools. And what makes YouTube so successful is a vast amount of interesting content. Facebook is popular because of the content that's created. So if you create a platform and the content is genuinely creative and engaging and effective, people will come and they will use it.
It's about understanding this huge range of channels that we've got and making sure that the content is appropriate and how you're wanting people to respond to it is enabled by the medium.
Approximately 2/3 of all corporate intranets now feature some form of social functionality. What we are seeing is people moving from fairly basic social features like blogs, wikis and RSS feeds onto the corporate intranet to more corporate social networking. So emphasis on people, profiles as the core building blocks of social networks.
Sometimes I talk to communicators who feel that social media is being done to them versus being done with them. So their IT partner will have created a great deal and have bought some kind of intranet platform, but perhaps they were tempted by that deal versus really trying to understand what is it for and will communicators be able to understand and use it in the way that we really want to foster dialogue.
Internal communications people are really skilled up to thrive in a social space. They're absolutely tooled up. They're good communicators. They know about channels. They know how channels work. They can write. You know, what more do you need? I mean, they are just set up to be superpower networkers, hubs in networks. It's just about grasping that challenge, saying, okay, I can see it coming. I can see the writing on the wall. I'm going to get in there.
Approximately 80% of people on the internet are still passive consumers of content, which is part of the reason why content is so important, why video is so important.
Get in there early, get in there quick, get connected, and all of a sudden you're influential. And actually what they're finding, or what you can find, is suddenly you're a lot more influential than you were before. People start listening to you, people start talking to you, people come to you when they want to send messages out. You get feedback and you become important in the network.
That provides a massive opportunity for people who understand how to create truly emotionally engaging content. Because if you are able to deliver a really important message that is going to affect people's perceptions or change their attitudes or shift perceptions, you have a tremendous power.
When you kind of open this lid, it's very easy to focus on the risks because there are inevitably some risks associated with this, particularly for, I guess, the people who are in power. What you need to do is focus on the value, and if you focus on the value, mitigate against those risks, you're opening a whole world of opportunity, actually.
The people have got hold of this wonderful new kit. They're on social media, they're in forums, chat rooms, they're tweeting, Facebooking, they're sharing so much of their personal information and data as well as their professional data. They're living in public and they're living transparently. And for a lot of people, it's great fun and they don't mind the risk. They think that's the way to go. For others, there's more concern. What are you saying? Are you letting the company down? Are you in breach of contract? So I think senior managers, many of them, are a little concerned. Others are trying to go with it and be creative about it. Others are really very, very excited about it.
There are risks without any doubt. You need to know what the risks are. And there is then your calculation. Is the benefit that you perceive, does it outweigh the risk? If it is, do it. If it doesn't, then you need to consider what you're doing. But for most organizations, the benefits do outweigh the risks.
I think it's a very brave, not to say reckless company that says to employees, off you go, good luck, here's your gadget, here's your login, look forward to reading what you say. Not many companies are going to do that, and they'd probably be right not to send that sort of message to employees.
There are, lots and lots of case studies from some very serious companies who are successfully implementing some of these tools and techniques and who are deriving some real value from doing so.
I think there has to be some thought before the toys are put out for us all to play with. But I think we need to keep the list of rules and restrictions to a minimum. And I think the spirit should be communicate.
Imagine if the workforce, who are doing quite well now, became this super motivated, productive, energised workforce that completely transforms the way we do business and completely transforms the way that people see us doing business. Isn't that worth taking the risk?
The internal communicators that understand that influence comes from being part of the conversation and not part of the establishment are the internal communicators of the future.
What I am really delighted to see is organisations opening up to the notion of learning from their employees, sharing information that perhaps 5 years ago they really wouldn't have been comfortable sharing with their employees.
It's a challenge. I think the professional communicators have to become expert. Otherwise, they won't be professional communicators anymore. They'll become amateur or out-of-work communicators.
If we were having this interview in 5 years' time, we wouldn't be discussing whether internal communicators should be using social media platforms and digital communications. It would just be an argument that has been and gone.
By 2013, we will not have email in this organisation anymore. We'll be doing all of this on social networks.
People are excited and enthused about what technology offers. And where we're going to be in 5 years' time, I have no idea, but it's going to be a really exciting place.
Will these channels and these internal comms people help my business be more successful? And if we can say yes, if we can provide that opportunity, then absolutely every chief executive should listen.